injury that's lasted, 6 weeks? I mean, why not just tell us what's wrong with the kid? What's the harm in that?
Hey, but if you want the exact transcripts of the text between him and his wife after the game of Week 17, he's got you with that. All right? He's an open book. Pop, how you doing, man?
Doing well, son. Doing well.
Week 1
already.
in the books. Week 1 in the books. Speaking of in the books, 94 episodes in the books. Pretty incredible. Almost to the big 100 mark. We'll see how we celebrate for that. But not much celebration going on today. Sad day across the NFL. Obviously, the biggest headline got to be Aaron Rodgers blowing out his Achilles tendon Monday Night Football, 4 plays into his first drive as a New York Jets. Just tragic. Super sad to see. You hate to see one of the all-time greats go down like that. You really hate to see how good that team is right after that happens, because you go, man, this team would have dominated with Rodgers at quarterback, with the Aaron Rodgers that we know, not the guy that was abducted by aliens last year. Yeah, it's sad to see. At his age, you wonder, I mean, Pop, do you think he's going to play again? You think he's coming back from this, or you think he's hanging it up?
It's hard to say. It really just comes down to what he really wants, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he had the Alex Smith reaction, although you can't, not comparing the two injuries, but it seemed like Alex Smith, whole motivation and determination was to come back. It is an injury. It's not like it used to be. I mean, I remember, way back when I was around your age, an Achilles injury would have been, it was always career threatening.
Yeah.
But, I think it's an injury you can come back from in modern medicine. But he's gonna lose a step from it. Does he want to do it? That's really what it comes down to. I know it's a bit of a cop out answer. I have no idea. Can't get in Aaron Rodgers' head, but it's definitely, at 40 years old, definitely puts his career in jeopardy for sure. And can you ever remember that much hype and build up around a player? I mean, it might be the greatest hype and build up off-season hype and build up around a player all time, or at least top 5. And for him to go down 4 plays in, that's just incredible. And you said it's sad. And I was late to actually start watching the game. I was
Same.
a workout and didn't feel like there was any great rush or whatever. I'll get caught up, and then you started sending texts. Ravens Insider started sending texts, and I'm like, "What the heck happened?
Yep.
That's crazy."
Yeah, so, I was getting ready to take the dog to the vet, and so I had the pregame on, and then I just missed the plays that he got hurt, because I guess he got sacked and he popped right back up, and then they took him off the field, and all of a sudden
he didn't pop right back up.
I got it. Well, he got up, got into the huddle, looked like he was going to keep going, and then he sat down. And I was texting with one of my buddies. I was like, "What?" All I saw was Wilson. I saw number 2. And I just called my friend. I was like, "What the hell happened? What's going on?" And he explained to me what happened. I was like, "Oh, my God." Well, he told me he got up, he stood for a couple seconds in the huddle, and then he just sat down. I knew. I was like, "That's an Achilles." That's exactly what that sounds like.
I was kind of in denial a little bit. And they said ankle. I was kind of relieved at first when they said ankle. But then, you start hearing the reports coming out about an Achilles, and then people it's amazing in the modern era.
The technology,
I saw on my YouTube a doctor's report pulled up. Literally couldn't have been more than an hour after the injury, and the guy was breaking down what happened. And I'll tell you what, the best take I heard, and I don't know who it was. I think it was a player that talked about how if they could just abolish turf fields, he said, for the World Cup in 2026, all the AstroTurf fields are being replaced by grass fields, including in New York, I believe. But
Yeah.
for NFL players to play 8 games at home, 8 or 9, they can't get them natural grass fields. The turf
Yeah.
is not a good thing. And, when
It's
you did see the
insane.
replay and see how his leg bent. So it's sad, but, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Be tough with Zach Wilson. I know you're high on Carson Wentz coming in as the backup, but
Don't get me started. You
you
said
never
tight
know,
five
man.
here.
Jake Fromm might be in danger on the practice squad. I'm a little nervous.
It would be smart if you're the Commanders to start making phone calls. You got a high value backup. See what they're willing to give you. They might be desperate. We're obviously in a position where we need a little more help on the roster than the Jets do, probably, but they need that quarterback. So who
Yeah,
knows?
you and I had. I think this is worth spending a second on because I know we're a little over time. I think this is a great point.
all
You and
right.
I had this.
You're
You
the
and I had
time
this.
guy
I know
here,
I'm
Pop.
violating
You're
it,
the
but
time guy.
one more minute. One more minute.
Looking at the outline
I
here.
think there's a couple of great points we made. You and I were back and forth. Who would be the better pick, Wentz or Colt McCoy? And then we started going through the group, and we won't waste time on that. But then I said, which is a sad thing for Wentz, I said, I actually think Jake Fromm would be a better pick. But, a smart organization, I think, would be looking at, and this people are going to think this is crazy, but I would call the Jets and say, what would you give us for Jacoby? Because
Yeah.
we'll get into it in a minute about my vibes. I'm not sure it's really about this year for this team. And I'm not throwing in the towel on the year. But if you could get a second round pick or maybe even a third for Jacoby Brissett with what Jake Fromm showed in the preseason and knowing he's a 1 year rental, why not do it? It would be
Yeah.
so smart to do it,
Yeah.
but we won't. Ron won't do it.
I even said, I don't know if you're getting a
I
second
love
or third
Jacoby
round
Brissett.
pick.
It's not a,
Yeah.
damnation on him.
I even said, if we get a little help at running back or maybe a little more depth at linebacker or something, the running back room in New York is so stacked between Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Dalvin Cook is there now. There's Donovan Knight. I don't know if he's still on the roster, but they've got a team. We could use Michael Carter could come in and play
Be
15,
smart.
20 meaningful snaps a game, But I don't know. Maybe I just like the guy because he did well for my fantasy team a couple years ago. Who
Well, I'm
knows,
just
right?
saying we don't need to get into breakdown of what player or what, but it would definitely be smart for this team to go young, get an asset. I like the idea of a draft pick personally,
Yeah.
But they won't do it. So
Let's
let's
see what
move on.
Wilson has. I'm intrigued to see what he can do. I think
As a
there's something
backup,
to say
though,
with
right?
sticking with Zach Wilson too, right? But yeah, I
Fair.
agree with you. Let's move on. So you mentioned your vibes, Pot. Go ahead, give me the pregame vibes. I don't want to talk postgame vibes. We made a declaration this year. Last year we spent a lot of the pregame podcast talking about the last game. We're not doing that this year. We're on to
That's right.
Cincinnati. All right.
Watch
We're
the
on.
post game pod for that.
Watch the post game pod. Go back, check that out. What are your pregame vibes though? How are you feeling? You've had some time to sit with the last game. Now we're thinking about Denver. How are we feeling about Denver going into it, Pop?
I'm feeling about Denver and looking forward, but as a reaction to what we saw on Sunday, I feel like it was a reality check for me.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, I just don't feel like this team is that good. I don't think when I look at the offense and you just hear about the weapons and you talk about the weapons, well, we have one outstanding position group. That's wide receiver. No
Yeah.
question about that. Don't need to break it down. Outstanding. I think our running back group is okay at best. Middle of the road, probably bottom half of the league. I think our tight end group, at least based on performance on Sunday, didn't look like they trusted, Cole Turner to be ready for prime time. And, I'm
Even though he
willing to give
performed when they looked his way, but different.
I'm willing to give
Different time.
Thomas a couple more games. Doc Walker, I quoted him before we got started, said he'll give him 3 games to kind of show themselves, and if they can't, then it's on to the backup. But I'm not overwhelmed by tight end. The offensive line is a major concern. And regardless of where you are with the quarterback, he's an unproven. It's still an unproven situation. It's a young
Yeah.
quarterback who's learning on the job, and we just don't know which way that's going to go. So I do believe in the defense. I think the defense could keep us in a lot of games, but I'm trending lower on my vibes. I have to say I'm less optimistic overall.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say that after one game. I do think the Cardinals played a heck of a game. They came out with a lot of fire. Got to give, as much as we might like it, got to give credit to their coach. They obviously were, head hunting, which I didn't like, but I know we're not going backwards. But so maybe that close win proves to be a little bit better than we think, which we're thinking Cardinals are the worst team in the league. Maybe they're not,
Yeah.
but yeah, not great for me personally.
I gotta say, I think I hear you on a lot of your concern, and I don't disagree, but I think I'm a little higher than you, and I'll tell you why for a few reasons. This is just not a football team that decisively wins games. That's just how Ron Rivera does it. I mean, how many times? I think I can literally count once, and that was against
Yeah,
Houston last year, which has to be the worst NFL team I've seen in the last 5 years. The Houston Texans last year. I think one time we actually went out there and just beat the team from start to finish, and that's it. This is how we win games, even against teams that we're supposed to beat. Then you factor in really young team in general, right? A lot of transition with ownership, a lot of transition, new offense, same guys on defense. Defense came out and played elite, did not give up a touchdown. New rookie quarterback, essentially, young guy, 22. I mean, basically a rookie, right? A lot of guys come into the league older than that, about that age. Okay. Then you're looking at all the hype around this game. And you're looking at everybody saying this is a knock out of the park, automatic victory. You've got Sonny Jurgensen in the stands. You've got Champ Bailey in the stands. You've got John Riggins in the stands. I mean, everything. I was hearing reports about players were out at the pep rally Friday night signing autographs. That's unheard of. That's unheard of during an NFL season. That doesn't
how does
happen.
that affect? How does that affect? You losing me here, son. How does that affect the football team?
They're coming out. Well, I'm about to get to it. They're coming out. What I'm saying is, I think the lack of performance that we saw last week is more a symptom of a whole team getting a little too ahead of themselves than it is this team not actually
But
being that
but
good.
was there anything that I said related to the offensive position groups and how you feel about those groups that you would disagree with?
I told you I
Because
agree
I
with you
think
on most stuff.
that's but I'm trying to get into. Like, I think you're right. I think you made some great points. I'm not arguing with any point you make. They're great points. I would say I'm worried, more worried that we've talked ourselves into and that we've oversized this group. Now I know there's counter arguments.
That's your
There's
and I
counter
mean
arguments.
that's what I'm giving you is the counter arguments here.
Yeah, there's
That's your
counter
perspective.
arguments.
I respect it. I told you I agree with a lot of it. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not at the hype that I was at before the game for sure. And I'm also not at the low that I think
Are you
you're at.
still
I
at
think
9 wins?
the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't know. We're one game into the season. I'm not ready to make that prediction yet. We're one game into the season. I don't know if I'm at
Again,
10 wins.
and it's way too early. What they call it, way
Yeah.
too early reaction. I acknowledge that. I think you make a great point. It's week
That's what
one. There's
I'm
going to be
saying.
rust. There's a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator. But I think
Look across.
when you saw some of the mistakes Sam was making, holding the ball too long, ill-advised throws, not protecting the ball, it just a couple of near picks that could have been there. I just said to myself, like, and I'm not putting it all on Sam because I still believe in Sam. I think he could be a really good player in this league. But we had him, we were kind of talking ourselves into him being elite already, and you're just not sure. And I'm
Look,
just not sure he's got enough help around him. That's my bigger concern. That's my bigger worry. Now, There's counter arguments that we've made all offseason. You like that interior of the offensive line. They made some big mistakes through the course of that game. Our boy Nick Gates, who we hyped up, made some critical errors through the course of that game. It bothers me and it worries me. But look, the good news is we got a chance to rectify that situation. We got to win. Happy about that. You know, got to learn from a.
Are you happy about the
Man,
win, Pop? It's a
no,
lot of
I
bad
am.
vibes coming from
I
Maryland
just
on this side
look.
here, man.
That's the
I'm
life
never
of a
even trying to
fan.
tell
I'm
you
just
it's
being
not that
honest.
bad yet.
Being honest.
I appreciate the honesty. I also think, to button up my argument, I think you look across the NFL last week, there's a lot of spaghetti, a lot of sloppy play across the league. Week
That's
one, in
fair.
my opinion, was a little disappointing. Honestly, you saw a lot of teams. Look at what Josh Allen did. Look at what Jalen Hurts did.
It almost always is if
A
you
lot of
think
not
back.
so great
Yeah,
guys because it's just we don't play in the preseason anymore, right? So I'm not
fair.
that worried if we're squeezing out wins and games we shouldn't win in September. As long as we're in shape in November, that's what I'm more concerned about. And we came out with the win, which is what matters. To quote the great Bill Belichick, win now, get good later. That's where I'm at with this team. So we won. That's what matters. Let's move on to Denver. Another not so great opponent, frankly, coming out of not the best game for their first game. They lost to the Raiders, who, again, another awful team, frankly. And, you know, that's what we've got. We got to travel across the country in the altitude, play at Mile High, which is obviously a legendary stadium, a lot of history there. And you're looking at Russell Wilson, you're looking at Pat Surtain, which is frankly what I'm most scared of. I'll tell you a game plan when we get into our keys. I have a plan
Right.
about that. And
Can't wait.
we're looking at otherwise they'd like to run the ball. They've got Javonte Williams coming back off that ACL injury. They've got Cortland Sutton is probably their number one wide receiver, and then otherwise it's just the 11th, 12th, and 13th caller that week. They go out and play wide receiver for them because they're missing Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy. But in general, beatable team, man. Beatable team. You've got a quarterback that's going to crumble under pressure. You've got a defense that can create some pressure. They've got about an average, maybe slightly above average defense with a couple superstars. I feel like this is, if we can regress to the mean a little bit in terms of play, a little bit closer to what we expect us to play with, I think we could do it. I don't know. What are you feeling about looking at Denver this week?
Can I give you a positive take?
I'm dying
I
for a positive
love the
take.
thing I look forward to every week, almost more than anything, is Dami's scouting reports. How good is that, people?
Yes,
How
sir.
good is
Point on the
the
ball.
kid? I mean, forget about Pop. This guy's got to get signed. Sign him up. Lock
Package
him
deal.
up while you
Package deal,
can.
baby.
Lock
Package
him up
deal.
while you can. That was fantastic. I always am amazed. That's why I
Appreciate
just
that, Pop.
defer to you because I'm not worthy. There's no way I could touch that. I would say this just real quick to add to your comment.
Please.
As bad as the Bills looked last night, they're 9.5 point favorites. We'd even include them in our bada bets because it's so ridiculous against the Raiders. So it goes to show what Vegas thinks of the Raiders. It is a home game for the Bills, but for them to be 9.5 points against the team that just got a victory is pretty crazy. So maybe that
Yeah.
gives us hope that we're not going up against the best opponent there. But fantastic job. So
Appreciate that, Pop. Thank you. Circling the vibes back around. Boys feeling good again. Real quick, one more thing to consider before we get into our keys and our predictions. Chase Young cleared for contact this week. Practicing full contact. Let's call it what it is. Probably not going to play. This is
probably not.
speculative. We don't know. But how many times has Chase Young been hurt and been back sooner than we expected? You answer that question yourself, and then we'll see whether or not you think he's going to play this week.
Son, I'm a little nervous about doing this podcast before Ron Rivera's press conference circles because I'm sure Ron's going to give us a lot of clarity on this
Unbelievable
situation.
amounts of detail. Unbelievable amounts of details. You know, Ron is an open book. He does a good job of keeping
It's
the
a
personal.
stinger, apparently. It's a stinger that's supposed to be a 24-hour injury that's lasted, 6 weeks? I mean, why not just tell us what's wrong with the kid? What's the harm in that?
Hey, But if you want the exact transcripts of the text between him and his wife after the game of Week 17, he's got you with that. All right. Unbelievable. He's an open book. Oh man.
One of my all-time F. I should have been starting the kid. Oh my god, I don't do
Yes.
it justice.
Well,
All
see,
right,
that's why Sam came out weak in the first game. He wanted to make Ron look not so bad. He was giving his coach, "How you doing?" All right, let's get into
three
these three
keys
keys here.
in
Let's
rapid
get into it.
fire.
Let's get into it. For me, do you want to go back at one at a time? Or you want to go
No,
three,
we
three?
kind of covered this ground last week. 3-3.
I'm gonna check with you every
Oh,
week.
you're
We're doing
chopping at the
3-3.
bit. Roll.
Number one, run the ball. Just Google the numbers between run and pass attempts in the first half last year. Ridiculous. Brian Robinson, he's a guaranteed 3 yards. He's not going to go for more than that, but he's a guaranteed 3 yards every time he touches the ball. Just run the ball, please. Antonio Gibson, not allowed to run the ball in our own 20 and in the red zone. Those are my rules. So that's key number one, run the ball. Key number two, limit turnovers. I told you a game plan key. This is incredibly sophisticated. So, guys, for the people that are into the X's and O's, I want you to listen up. There is a man named Patrick Surtain on the Denver Broncos. I don't know what number he wears, but Sam Howell does. I want Sam to do this when he gets to the line of scrimmage. What number? Where is Pat Surtain? I'm not throwing it there. I don't care if it's Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Jesus Christ. We're not throwing the ball near Pat Surtain. I don't care.
What about Tom
Okay?
Cruise?
No. We're not throwing the ball to Pat Surtain. That's number two. Let's
All
call it
right.
what it is. This is the best quarterback in the league. This is a rookie quarterback. Don't throw the ball at Pat. Don't test him. Let's just cut our losses there. Number three, we got to pressure Russell Wilson. We got to pressure Russell Wilson. Montez Sweat, John Allen, Deron Payne. Let's ride.
I like it. I like
Those
it.
are my
I like
keys.
it.
Pop, go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, my three is defense has to dominate. I really, talked about my concerns about the offense. I think the defense has got to do its thing. They got to come ready to play, and they got to come dominate all 11 guys or the 15 in the rotation. I want to see a dominant defensive performance. Sorry, a dominant defensive performance. We need that, I think, to win this game. I think it's number one on the list. Number two complements what you said, better offensive balance. That run to pass ratio in the first half was horrendous. We got carried away with ourselves. It balanced out more in the second half, but we were all pass or all run. It's got to be better balance. And to give B-Rob some love, when it mattered, he had 4 carries for 21 yards. His yards per carry was pretty damn good. End of the game, when they knew all we were going to do was run the ball because we just went into run mode, the yards per carry got hurt quite a bit. But when it mattered, he got some yards. So let's continue that. And, it's only going to help the young quarterback. Play action pass is not going to work if you don't run the ball. So run the ball. I agree. Better balance. Not all run, but better balance in that offense. 50-50 all the time versus one half and another. And then I said win a turnover battle. I don't really care what form that takes, but we need to end up with more takeaways than they do, right? We dodged a bullet this past weekend. Get some takeaways on defense. Limit those turnovers on offense. Win that turnover battle. We do those 3 things, I'll guarantee a W on Sunday.
I love that, Pop. That's a real old school set of takes there. I love that. Win the turnover battle, run the
That's what
ball,
I
be
bring to
very
this
straight.
podcast. Old
I love
schoolness.
that. Fundamentals, baby. Fundamentals.
I was going to get back on the raft earlier, man. I was bringing myself down.
I was worried about you. I was about to just
I was
stop
on the
all time
raft
and say,
again.
Pop, smile for me. Smile.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
Man, good. Good to have you back. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I think we're kind of on the same page here. I think we agree. Want to see the quick passing game, get back to work. It's going to be – we got to see the offense play better, essentially. The defense is going to have to be the best defense in NFL history for us to win a lot of games with the offense playing like that. So
Agree.
let's hope we can make that happen. Finally, money where your mouth is, predictions. Denver minus 3.5. Now, I think it's worth noting, home teams pretty much by default, they start -3. So this is, by all intents and purposes, half points favorite in terms of
I'm not
Vegas
gonna.
saying,
I'm not gonna give Denver 3.5 points respect. Do I
yeah,
feel great about this prediction? No, but just on the matter of principle, I don't think we're going to lose by 3.5 points, and hopefully we can pull out the W. Starting 2-0 would be phenomenal. I promise you, it'd be better vibes if we're 2-0 next week.
yeah,
But I'd say, I can't give them that kind of respect. I'm going with the boys, going with the Commanders.
yeah. I was thinking about it earlier today. I really wanted to predict the loss tonight. I really did,
Could be
but
a close loss.
I really don't believe in Denver, and I really don't think we're as bad as what we showed last night. I don't think we're the San Francisco 49ers, but I don't think we're as bad as we showed
That's a
showed
positive
last week.
spin, right? That to perform poorly, get a win, and now you can work on that all week, and a bit of a wake up call, and also a bit of a wake up
Exactly.
call for the coaches, dude. Jack DeRillier coached a hell of a game. EB's got to learn from this experience, learn what he's actually got in terms of offense. It reminds me too much of last year when we thought we had a gunslinger in Carson Wentz and we came out
Yeah,
7-step dropping all the time. I think EB's better than that. I think he's going to realize that he seemed to adjust very well in the second half. And that's the positive spin on what we might get out of this game again.
100%.
Tough trip,
100%.
tough place to play, though.
Yep. Ron Rivera swears he's got a method to get the players acclimated to the altitude in 24 hours. So
Let's just hope at the end of
let
this
Pop.
season. Let's just hope in his pre-season interviews next year he's not talking about how he wished he'd have played Jake Fromm.
Lord knows he'll let us know.
But
He'll
anyway,
let us behind the
on to the moment we've all been waiting for all pod.
You know it, you love it, you can't live without it. It's Bada Bets NFL Week 2. All right, last week the boys both went 3-2. We had it's pretty incredible that we finished with the same record given how much we scattered across the board there. But Pop with the wise pick of the Lions over the Chiefs, excuse me. And then we both had the Jets on Monday night, and then I had the 49ers over the Steelers. If you want to see the rest of the picks, go back, check out last week's episode.
There's a short as well.
There's a
I'd
short
rather
as
you
well.
watch the full pod.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's get into this week's picks. Thursday Night Football tonight when you guys are watching. Vikings at Eagles. Eagles 7-point favorites at home. It's their home opener, right? I believe, against the Vikings. And Vikings just disappointed against Tampa. What do you think there, Pop?
That's a big line, and it wasn't like the Eagles blew the doors off that game last week. So I like the Eagles to win, but I like the Vikings to cover.
I'm taking the Eagles. The Eagles and Vikings played in prime time last year, and the Vikings got destroyed. Destroyed. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles, just roll with what happened, because I think the Eagles had a similar victory over the Patriots that we did over the Cardinals. They did not feel good about that win, but they snuck one out. So I think they come out and we see that Super Bowl team again. We got Saturday, 1 p.m., Ravens at Bengals. Bengals 3.5-point favorites, even after showing absolutely nothing against the Browns last week. What do you got there, Pop?
I got the Ravens.
Wow. Ravens against the Bengals in their home opener. Yeah.
Again, it's 3.5 points. We're betting against the spread. Not saying that the Bengals couldn't win a close game, but 3.5 points is way too much respect after that what we saw last week, in my opinion.
Ravens didn't look too good either, frankly, playing against the Texans.
Got a couple
better
injuries.
Than us.
But
got a few injuries, missing J.K. Dobbins, of course. This is a tough one, but I think
That's why I put it in there.
I think I'm going to roll with you here and take the Ravens. They've played the Bengals close the last few times they've played. The last time they almost beat them with Snoop in at quarterback, Tyler Huntley. So I'm going to roll with the Ravens here, as much as it pains me to do so. But
This
I'll
next
roll
one's
with
interesting. This
I'll
next
roll with
one's
the
interesting
Ravens.
too.
Chiefs -3 at the Jags. Give me the
Did the
Chiefs.
Chiefs go 0-2
Give
to
me the
start the
Chiefs.
season?
No
Yeah, me too.
way. Give me the Chiefs. I think this will be a close game, but Kelsey's going to be back, hopefully, for the sake of my fantasy team. And yeah, I
They're
just
gonna be
don't think
angry.
they're going to come out firing. I'm rolling
Yeah.
with the Chiefs -3. Dolphins -2 at the Patriots. Dolphins look like the best team in football last week, other than the Cowboys, which hurts me to say, but they look really good. I'm taking the Dolphins for sure there.
Same.
-2 at the Pats is crazy. The Pats are not that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Now we
Saints
got a
minus.
bonus. We got a bonus bada this week. I don't know if you noticed, son.
Do we have a W
Two
on
Monday
Monday
Night
Night
Football
Football?
games. Two Monday Night
Oh,
Football.
so I picked the right week to take the dog to the vet during Monday Night Football because I missed
That's
the game
right.
last night, watched from my phone, but I will be planted next Monday. Let me tell you, Saints -3 at the Panthers. What am I planting myself for? This is a stinker. I'll go
Yeah,
ahead and take the Panthers
not
here.
a great game for sure.
I'm going to take the Panthers here. I think the Saints suck. What do you think, Pop?
What did Saints do week 1? I should know this, but I'm drawing a blank. Do you
Pretty sure
remember?
they lost.
All
Carr's
right.
numbers were not
No, they won
not particularly
16-15
impressive.
versus the Titans. I thought they squeaked out a win.
Oh,
So Saints
against the Titans though.
Titans are all right. They're all right. I mean, they're always a pretty solid team.
Vrabel's a good coach. It's just
Panthers
a
are at
lack of talent there.
home. It's tough, but I think the Saints are a better team, and
Interesting.
I'm
You
gonna
know
go
what?
Saints.
I'm excited for, frankly, to watch a full game of Bryce Young. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So you went Panthers, right?
Yes. Monday Night Football, Browns -2.5 at the Steelers. Browns, frankly, didn't look all that great either, even though they smacked up on the Bengals. It was more just the Bengals being terrible. Watson, I think, threw a couple of picks, a couple of ugly picks too. But the Steelers, I mean, Maron, it's hard to find something good that happened that game other than an ending for the Steelers. I got to go Browns here. I'm hammering that -2.5. I think they smack them. What do you think, Bob?
I don't know. Like you said, it's a weird situation because I didn't see a lot of the Browns Bengals game, but the
Yeah.
reports coming out of it, weren't positive about Watson, which was surprising when you see the score.
Yeah.
And is that the real Steelers? The Steelers seem like they were, I guess, Pickett was pretty bad last week from all reports. So
Yeah.
I think you're making the smart pick, but you're zigging. I'm gonna zag. I'm
Man,
gonna
that's
say
bold.
Steelers bounce back. They're at home. I think they're gonna bounce back and get this W.
Next week's pod title: Pop gets burnt by the Steelers 2 weeks in a row. Bada bet special.
They're dead to me. If I lose them this week, they're dead. But
It's just you know what? You know why I'm taking the Browns? Because I think
it's a smart pick.
their new defensive coordinator, Schwartz, that boy knows football. And that's a good coach. And their defensive line, they've got Myles Garrett, who's got to be just a top 10 player in football. And if Pickett
Look, I'm not
struggled
proud
last
of
week, it's
myself.
not
I'm not
getting
proud of
easier for him this
myself
week.
here. Not proud of myself here. But yours is the smarter pick. I just had a tingle, and I zagged. Not a great reason.
You know what they say? You get a tingle, your FanDuel will jingle.
That's
That's
right.
what they say. Or it could really hurt your FanDuel too. I've lost a lot of money following the tingle.
Listen, or DraftKings or MGM, whichever one is willing to sponsor Dom and Pop, we got you.
100%.
Ready to print the T-shirts.
Might start our own sports book. Who knows?
That's right. We could put a logo right there. If we can see the shirt.
I'll put the logo right here. Just put Dom and Pop up there like that. I don't care. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up, Pop. It's been a good pod here. Glad to have you back. I was worried about you at the beginning of the podcast, man. You were out there like that, and the water was rising rapidly.
Keeping it real. But I feel a little better now. I'm going to admit,
Good.
the pod was therapeutic for me.
Good. Sometimes it's group therapy, man. I'm glad you got it off your chest,
Yeah, people.
guys.
That's why you got to listen. We bring a whole lot more to the table than just sports talk.
100%. We're gonna do our life advice segment live on Patreon right after this, guys. Without further ado, let's wrap this thing up. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for a great week. Let's kick some Denver ass. Commanders country. Let's go.